This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How we doing today on a Monday? It's the Joe Gaither Show. We're live in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios. First time in a hot minute. We've been back in the studio. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, on the BamaCentral Facebook page, for hanging out with us on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com, Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. We're going to have a lot of fun today with our man Theo Fernandez. We missed him on Friday. The time change kind of bit him just a little bit, and that is A-OK. Out there in California for one more day on Friday. Then traveled back. He's live. He's beautiful. Back in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios. He's got his Rose Bowl cap on, so we'll talk a little bit about the game again with Theo. Just a little bit about that to make sure that we get all the talking points out of the way before we dive into the transfer portal. We're going to find out who has gone in the transfer portal for the Crimson Tide. I'm sure you have kept up with it on BamaCentral.com. We've got write-ups for everybody who's gone in the portal so far. You can just click that football tab and just scroll all the way through it. You can see a wide receiver, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman in the portal. Everybody in the portal. So we'll talk about who all is in the portal and who's Alabama is contacting to join the Crimson Tide. A couple names have been kind of bantied about and are in Tuscaloosa. At least one of them is in Tuscaloosa right now visiting the Crimson Tide. Big weekend, big recruiting weekend for Kalen DeBoer and the staff. We'll dabble a little bit on staff changes, if there are going to be any staff changes. There have been no staff changes so far, but we'll dabble in what staff changes might happen here in the coming weeks, so why they haven't happened so far, this, that, and the other. And then we will finish with basketball as the Alabama Crimson Tide took down the Kentucky Wildcats right here on Saturday. Fourth win in a row over Kentucky. First time in Crimson Tide history that they have beaten Kentucky 4 times in a row. We have dogged Noah Williamson on this program a lot, and I will own that, but I will also say that when we talk basketball, we will be praising Noah Williamson for the first time this season, as he deserves it. What a great performance in limited action against the Kentucky Wildcats. Really, finally showing us why NATO might have recruited him from Bucknell. And so that was a really great story to see on Saturday unfold as the Alabama Crimson Tide took down the Kentucky Wildcats, started SEC play 1-0, but you can't relax. You're going to Nashville this week to take on the best team in the SEC, analytically, the Vanderbilt Commodores. You're going up into their house this week, so we'll talk a little basketball as well. With that being the backdrop, we want to tell you we're brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. We're going to have Brax Garrison in the program tomorrow. Look, these Christmas holiday weeks have been a little strange. We've missed Brax Garrison. You can call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635 for all of your roofing needs. Call Purple Turtle Roofing. Make sure that Santa and the reindeer didn't create too much damage on your roof as you start the new year. Winter season is really fully starting to ramp up, or in the southeast it's getting cold. You'll have a little snow, maybe a little sleet, maybe. You want to make sure that you don't have any roofs or any damage on your roof, any leaks in your roof. Call Purple Turtle Roofing at 877-787-6635 for your free inspection today. Good morning, Theo. Great to see you. Did you drive all the way back from California? Drive that van all the way back?
Great to be back. Yeah, it was a fun, 48-hour road trip to get back from Cali. I'm just kidding. I did fly in like a normal person. I have limits on how far I can drive. They're very high, but I still do have limits. But it was incredible getting to go out to Cali. It was incredible getting to cover a Rose Bowl. I mean, just grateful for that opportunity. The game was, we've talked about it. You guys know all the talking points. You guys watched it. You guys have been frustrated over it for a week. So not going to do much recapping of that. But, man, the experience, the atmosphere, it's just such a cool event. It lives up to the hype in every way, honestly.
Well, you got mixed reviews on the Rose Bowl, and maybe you can give us your perspective. You got people who are I love the history. I love the tradition. It's so beautiful out here. Everything is old school and feels like college football. And then you got the other people who are parking stinks, bathroom facilities, they're terrible, old stadium, terrible infrastructure, hate this place, blah. Rose Bowl is way overrated. Where did you fall after experiencing it all?
Yeah, look, it's one of the last great holdouts of real college football, right? You go there and it feels like nothing's changed about the sport. It feels like you're at any of these classic games that we've seen there over the decades. Like, yeah, sure, it's not the Superdome, it's not Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It doesn't feel up to that level as far as the actual stadium goes, but you just kind of got to accept that and realize that you are in the most historic venue in the sport. You are in such an incredible place. I mean, it's the granddaddy of them all. And yeah, the porta potties all across the golf course where you're parked to tailgate. It's not great. It's not a great setup. It's even worse when there are literally lakes forming in the golf course because of the rain and the parking was so messed up. And yeah, this happened having gone in 2024 and then also this year, like, yeah, this was a worse overall atmosphere because of all the rain. Hasn't happened in 20 years. Just bad luck of the draw, not being able to see the mountains behind us. Like, it was worse than usual, but it's still, I mean, the history, the reverence of that place is unreal. And I think you got to accept every single flaw that stadium has happily just because you have the opportunity to be there.
I think that's a strong take. It's a strong perspective for someone in your age, Theo. I think that's a really strong perspective. So we talked about it for about an hour on Friday. Well, and we didn't even talk about the game that in depth. We talked about the fourth down decision, and we talked about kicking a field goal. We talked about what the Alabama defense could have done, what they tried, because they tried nearly everything. We talked just about some of just the highlight points, because ultimately the big umbrella, the big broad brush strokes were that Indiana kicked Alabama's rear end, physically up front and on both sides of the ball, and really you couldn't do much to change things. So I'll just let you take it any direction that you like. We did talk for an hour on Friday with Mason Woods about a lot of things in the game, but just take us any direction you like. As you were there for BamaCentral, what were some of your takeaways? What was some of your big thoughts from the game, or just kind of what did you think about Alabama 38-3? Ugh.
Yeah, quite. You can talk about any decision from that game, anything that happened in that game. But quite frankly, none of those things would have mattered. Alabama was not going to win that football game. I think it was pretty obvious when things kicked off that it was heading in this direction. 4th and 1. First of all, I like the play call. That's a play that usually has got. We've had success giving the ball to Bernard. We've had success doing weird things on 4th down. Let's say, devil's advocate, we get the first down. Alabama moves the chains. They're punting on the next set, right? Like it was just that kind of game where no individual thing would have changed the outcome. Alabama goes down the field, scores a touchdown on that drive, right? Still getting blown out. I just don't believe that any kind of momentum or anything would have been enough to change that lopsided of a matchup. So, there's not much to talk about from the actual game. I will say I was a little sad seeing Ty come out of that ball game. Obviously Austin Mack was
broken rib, sad. Come on, he gave you everything he got.
Yeah, and that's kind of what makes it. I guess in the moment, not knowing there were the broken ribs, knowing that it's clearly banged up a little. Just seeing him come up, realizing that he wasn't going to come back on the field. I think it closes. I think this is the end of the Ty Simpson era at Alabama. That's something we'll talk about in the transfer portal section. But yeah, no, it was an emotional moment, I thought. And seeing Austin Mack come down, he did some good things that first drive. He also threw a screen pass 5 yards behind Daniel Hill's head, and then missed Lazier Brooks on the 3rd down. But that drive was really the one bright spot of the game, I guess. Alabama going, kicking a field goal, and then after that, I mean, that game was over. Indiana's offense was unreal. Alabama, just the first bad defensive performance since Florida State, right? The first time that Alabama was just not putting the team in a position to win. But that just speaks to the game. That speaks to the quality of Indiana's football team, of the job Kurt Signetti has done. The Hoosiers are phenomenal. I think they're going to run the table, win this championship, and I don't think any team's really going to do all that much to stop them.
Yeah, Ty Simpson going out of the game with a broken rib, and you got a lot of reporting from Tuscaloosa News about what Ty Simpson was dealing with this season. I think that you get a nice little inside look when you look at Colin Gay's reporting. Let's see, where is it? Right there. That's what I want. I want to look at view quotes right there. Ty Simpson ended up dealing with lots of injuries throughout the year. Here we go. Yeah, that's what I want. Lower back injury versus South Carolina impacted most of the year. After that, gastricitis from anti-inflammatory. Isn't that just isn't that basically a bowel movement? Yeah, inflammation of the lining of the stomach, right? Not so good. Gastricitis from the anti-inflammatory in his lower back. Elber bursitis, excuse me. Elber bursitis versus Georgia impacted the college football playoff. Broken rib versus Indiana. So really handful of injuries that he carried throughout the year. But D'Angelo Pons popping him in the back and breaking a rib ends up being the moment that Ty Simpson can't overcome. Tried to overcome the lower back injury against South Carolina. Ended up getting hurt against Georgia a little bit, playing through it. Just really battled for this team. And yeah, I mean, I don't really think that anything would have changed. Yeah, if you don't fumble, maybe you keep a drive going. If you convert on 4th and 1, maybe you keep a drive going. Maybe you could score some points. But you were just paddling up a creek with one paddle all game long against Indiana.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you ran in your train of thought there.
Oh, you're reading. It's okay. What were you reading?
Yeah, I was trying to follow up on what was just the Ty Simpson stuff as well, because I know I was a little behind on that. Sorry, rehash the question.
There was no question. It was just the fact that I just ended my thought with all the injuries that he dealt with, and maybe you do fumble, or like maybe you do not fumble and you go on to score, or maybe you convert on 4th and 1 and you go on to score, but you couldn't stop them at all. They were 9 of 12 on 3rd down. You couldn't stop them at all. And whether it was linebackers not quite getting into the right gaps, or whether it was defensive linemen not being able to get off blocks, like you couldn't stop them at all.
No, and I think that's the general theme from the game. Nothing was going to change it, but was very refreshing. Not refreshing, but it was good to see, a lot of the Ty Simpson injury stuff that we speculated on did end up being correct. I think we all had a pretty good idea of it, right?
Absolutely. All right, so let's move forward, because the rest of the weekend was all about the transfer portal and all about next season. And Alabama had several players go into the portal. And we're getting a little bit of breaking news as we're on the show right now. Alabama center Parker Brailsford declaring for the 2026 NFL Draft, not coming back to school. And I think that's an interesting development based on one of these guys that went in the transfer portal. Maybe my own selfish perspective, but Joe Ionata became one of the transfer portalees. Really, I guess the offensive line is the most interesting part to look at, because you had Olasa Lennon, you had Joe Ionata, you had Wilkin Formby all go in the transfer portal. Starter Wilkin Formby go in the transfer portal. You ended up with Rico Scott went in the portal. You went with Cam Calhoun, Keon Keeley. You had Cole Adams. Yeah, Micah DeBose was another offensive lineman, went in the portal as well. You had Justin Hill. We already did those two. Sophomore wide receiver Jalen Hale. You ended up with Jalen Mbakwe, and you ended up with Richard Young. Was that everybody? I think that was everybody that went in the portal already.
Cole Adams.
I said Cole Adams. You ended up with Rock Montgomery. Cam Howard, and Bubba Hampton before the game started. So those three were already known. But basically, you're up to 10, 11 after the Rose Bowl. I think you're up to 14 or so, 14 total guys in the portal. Here we go. Here's your list. Richard Young, Richard Young, Jalen Mbakwe becomes the second. Jalen Hale, Owasa Lennon, Joe Ionata, Noah Carter, Micah DeBose, Cole Adams, Wilkin Formby, Keon Keeley, Rico Scott, and Cam Calhoun, all in the portal. Just what do you make of these guys so far? Any surprises to you?
Well, not many surprises, but I will say I guess I'm surprised that both a Lennon and Ionata entered. Right, like one of the two makes sense, but I don't get why both of them decided to hit the portal, knowing that Ionata especially had to know that Brailsford was going to declare for the draft, right? Had to have gotten that insight, and still making the decision, knowing that the starting center job is probably there for the taking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that is and I wonder, you look at these offensive line moves in general, like what kind of conversations are being had internally right now? And I think one of these conversations is about the future of Chris Kapilovich. I think that he will be gone. I think that is something that is playing maybe into these decisions. And then also I think maybe DeBoer and Grubb and the staff are talking to some of these players about their futures in Crimson, particularly Wilkin Formby, this guy who it's his dream, his whole life has been to play for the University of Alabama.
Pretty interesting to me. Yeah.
All this guy's been building up towards, right? And even, on Tuesday talking about, like this is just all I've ever wanted. He's talked about, the improvements he wanted to make next year. He was talking about the unit as a whole and all the changes. Was something said to him by the staff telling him, like, we thank you for your time here. You might want to go head out to a different school. I don't see why Wilkin Formby would have ever hit the portal. And I think he was clearly told that he wasn't going to play tackle, right?
Right. I agree.
He still, it seemed pretty not content. I mean, I guess, content with the idea of being a guard.
I think publicly.
Yeah. It seemed like he would have been willing to come back and start at right guard.
I wonder if there was an adjustment to your NIL number if you're staying at guard.
That's a fair point as well. A Taco Casa can only send so much money, right? And there's
just a question.
Yeah.
But I do think it's more about, will you move me back to tackle? No, we won't move you back to tackle.
That job is Michael Carroll's.
Right. And I mean, you think about, well, you're not going to be moved to left tackle to cover Caden Proctor's role. I think that's what that was all about with Wilkin. And like you look at these four offensive linemen, you've got Joe Ionata, you've got Owasa Lennon, you've got Wilkin, and you got Micah DeBose. And so for Micah DeBose, like we'll just start from underclassmen all the way up. For Micah, I think he was recruited by Coach Saban and was already started on in recruitment when the transition happened. And so we want to keep our bodies and our numbers right. Let's continue to recruit Micah DeBose. I wonder how. I don't know that he quite fits body type what you want to be doing in the offensive line room. And I think that he probably sees that writing on the wall, goes to find a greener pasture because, whether you agree or not about what the offensive line is trying to do, I don't think that Micah DeBose was fitting what the offensive line was trying to do. So there you go. He's out of here. And then you've got Joe. Like I think Joe's a really interesting one because at first when he declared, I thought, well, Parker does have eligibility to come back. Is he coming back for a redshirt senior year? And now this morning, Parker Brailsford declaring for the NFL draft leaves you with a massive hole.
Yes.
A massive hole at center. And you've got, look this up as I keep ranting, Texas State center, Texas State offensive guard. You apparently got a really highly coveted interior offensive lineman from Texas State that's in the transfer portal. Apparently that's a direction that Alabama is kind of a tree that Alabama is barking up. I don't know if they're going to actually land that plane or not. But you got Ionata, who would have been right there to start at center because Vandermark has moved on and now Brailsford has moved on. I really am wondering about, okay, Joe was a recruit by Coach Saban and stuck around when the transition happened. Stayed a freshman year under Coach DeBoer and Coach Kapilovic. Redshirted, then played this year in a handful of games and special teams and a handful of games as a backup. I wonder if he just thought, I tried to give it a go when the transition happened, and the fit just isn't quite there. So we'll see where he ends up going. I believe his brother is enrolled at Florida State right now. His father is a Florida State legend. So maybe that's going to be a place that he lands, or we will see where he ends up going. Then for Olas, same sort of thing. Olas was, I thought, an up-and-coming offensive lineman. But if you don't see any time on the offensive line this year when everyone and their mother is seeing time in the offensive line, like the only time that Olas got on the field was when we were running crispy package and we needed somebody to play left tackle. It was either Olas or Jackson Lloyd, so that Caden Proctor could do something interesting, could do something unique. And so if that's the only time you're getting on the field, I think you look at yourself and you think, well, where does this coaching staff really have me, project me? I mean, they're playing everyone else. They played William Sanders, Gino Vandermark. We played every other guard that you could think of, Cam Dewberry, Jaden Roberts. You didn't play Olas, and we played a handful of guys at tackle. I mean, Caden never really went off the field, but you ended up with Wilkin Formby and Michael Carroll at right tackle. Like, the shuffling on the offensive line was at an abnormal rate, but Olas still couldn't find his way on the field. I wonder if that tells him, okay, I'm looking around and these younger guys that they're bringing in seem to fit the style a little bit more. I gave it 3 years for Olas, right? 3 years. He was a redshirt sophomore,
third
right? And so I think for Olas, it's the same thing. I'm going to go find a place where I can go plug in and play right now. And that stinks. Like, you're eroding your depth in the offensive line room. But then you look at the offensive line as a whole, they weren't that good. They were not good. They were not well coached. They were not that good. And so while sentimentally, I don't like losing any of these guys from a sentimental standpoint. Obviously, when they come here as a freshman, I end up liking almost anybody, and I'm like, oh, this guy's great, awesome. But just on the field, are you really losing that much? Because was Wilkin a great guard? I think he was a good guard. Do I think he was great? No. I don't know if he was really a true body style guard that you wanted. And then, like, of course, I wanted the best for Joe and for Olas, and you want the best for Micah. But if the fits just aren't right, if it's not the right fit for the player, that's what the transfer portal is supposed to be for. None of these guys, none of these three, and really none of the four, with Wilkin included, none of these four are. I don't really see them as bag chasers. I see them as, hey, I gave it a go. I gave it the old college try in this system with this new coaching staff, and I just don't think it's working out. So I'm going to use the I think that all four probably going to end up finding places where they fit a little bit better, and we'll see if they get on the field next year.
Yeah, I agree with that. First of all, Brock Reicher,
thank you,
center from Texas State, was a freshman All-American this year. Alabama, Penn State, Oklahoma, South Carolina among the offers. 6'4", 290. Looks pretty good. Looks like a solid addition. I completely agree on those players. I think Lennon would have been fun. He had a really cool story with the Finnish background, and just, not guys who probably would have been able to play all that much at this level. But now I guess the question just becomes, well, who are these additions, right? Like, you got a lot of bodies you need to get in there. And it's funny, like, you got to feel pretty solid about Carroll starting at right tackle, right? We've seen that. No reason to feel bad about that. And then you hope that Jackson Lloyd, right? He's spent the whole year developing right behind Proctor. You hope he's ready to step in, fill that role at left tackle right away. Those are the only two givens right now on that line. Right?
Well, and I don't know that Jackson Lloyd is a given, but yes,
really?
Keep going.
I'd imagine it's I don't know. I
think you're right in your hope and your desires and your plans are to have it to be Jackson Lloyd. Yes. I think that's your goals to make sure that he's ready. But I don't know if that's really going to be the case.
I'd imagine William Sanders is one of your starting guards.
Yes.
Right? So you got 3 starters kind of.
And I think William fits the system pretty well.
So you penciled in 3 starters on that line.
Go get, what is it? Brock Riker? Is that what you said?
Yeah, go get that guy. Have him be your starting center next year.
And then Chris Booker at the other guard, true freshman.
It'd be an inexperienced line, but it would be one that maybe is ready to
5 nasty boys.
Yeah.
5 nasty boys combined as one, and we get nasty on the offensive line again.
And I do believe that this line, as I said earlier, will be coached by someone new this year.
Yeah, okay, we might as well transition to that. People are talking about why aren't any coaching staff changes happening? Why hasn't anybody been fired? Why hasn't anybody been hired? XYZ. We are so upset with this season that took us to the playoffs and got us a playoff win. Everybody needs to be fired. Bah! All right, well, I think my theory is that I don't think you're going to see any coaching staff changes happen while the portal is still open, because I think you're going to want to. I think if you're Coach DeBoer, you're doing first things first. You are who's out, who's in first, who's out, and then who can we get in to the program. And I think that you are trying to create relationships with the portalees, the incoming portalees, as fast as possible. And I think you're trying to evaluate and make decisions as fast as possible. And I don't think you're trying to stack up. Not only do we need to evaluate Billy Smith, offensive lineman, we also need to be evaluating offensive line coaches on the, right hand is all the offensive linemen we're trying to look at. Left hand is new offensive coaches that we're trying to look at. I don't really think you want to be juggling both. I think you want to focus on the portal, try to get as many quality players in as possible, spend money on the offensive and defensive lines. That's where you need to spend your money. You don't need to be spending your money on a wide receiver or on something cute like that. Spend money on some muscle, on some guts, on some offensive line and defensive line, baseline stuff. Spend money right there, and then when the portal closes, I think that's when you will see Coach X is left to take another job. Coach Y has left to take another job, and you will know when you read that they were pseudo fired. I mean, they're not going to be coming out and saying Coach DeBoer fires X or Y or Z. I think he's going to try the old Coach Saban tactic of, position Coach X has taken another job at school Y, and that's how you know that maybe their relationship has run its course, or at least for now has run its course, professionally speaking. And I do think Coach Kapilovic is going to be in that list. I think Coach Kapilovic, and I think this is just a gut feeling. I don't really have a whole lot of background on it, but I do think both the Coach Saban coaches are going to be gone. I think that Freddie Roach and Robert Gillespie are probably going to be looking for new jobs coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Wow. Yeah, the Roach would somewhat surprise me. Why do you think that? Just DeBoer wanting to get his guy?
I think a bit of that. I think the lack of development with the defensive linemen is starting to catch up with Coach Roach. Yeah. I think you are recruiting pretty well at that position, and I do think he has a pretty good eye for talent, for high school talent and portal talent. But I believe that, I believe that it's about continuity and message and development at that position.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. And, you hear a lot about recruits talking about him, and you hear a lot about, he was involved in this guy's recruitment, or he's spoken of highly. And he's a guy that brings a lot to the table there. But, yeah, I guess I wouldn't be all that surprised if we officially close the chapter on the Nick Saban coaching staff.
Yeah, so we'll see where that happens, or what happens with that. Let's keep going with these portalees. Let's go to the wide receivers. You had Rico Scott, you have Jalen Mbakwe and Jalen Hale and Cole Adams all in the portal from the wide receiver room. And any of these guys surprise you? Any of these guys hurt you to see them go? What did you think about these 4 portalees?
No, I'm not surprised all that much, really.
Because those are the biggest groups right now. 4 offensive linemen, 4 wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, Mbakwe, I think most of us expected to be in the portal.
Shoot, I don't think I did.
You know, I did not buy the, he said absolutely not to enter in the portal. I did not buy that. I did not see that. You passed up a lot of money last year.
You made a lot of money this year.
You made a lot of money, but there's no way you were making anywhere near that money this year. All right? That's a guy who was in for a pay cut. And
rumor was it was at $600K this year.
I just don't think it was going to be close to that number in 2026. I think he will be wearing purple down in Baton Rouge this season. And I think he's going to be a very good football player. That's one that it's tough because
is he going to be Lane Kiffin's quarterback?
That would be hilarious. Yeah, Lane will give him a snap under center. He'll let him do all the stuff he did in high school, all the crazy athleticism. Like, it's interesting because you don't know the full story of what happened internally with the Mbakwe. You don't fully know how his adjustment to receiver went, right? There's a lot we don't have a complete picture on, besides just knowing that, okay, this is an insanely talented athlete. This is a great football player. This is someone who, despite being maybe a little raw, we don't know what he was like in practice internally. We know that he has talent. We know that he will presumably succeed wherever he goes, right?
I agree with that.
It's going to be one that kind of hurts watching, oh, wow, this guy just scored, a touchdown for whatever program, or, oh, wow, this guy's numbers are pretty good, But I think it was pretty inevitable. Cole Adams,
he's going to be a demon somewhere.
Yes, he will. Cole Adams, you didn't get much out of him in the return game.
That's what I mean. Cole's going to be a demon somewhere.
Yeah. Could it be Oregon State? Could he follow? I think him and Rico Scott, but Oregon State's probably a solid option for either of those. Rico, I thought, was a nice player, but nothing special. Not going to lose sleep over that one. And Jalen Hale, really hoping that he's able to succeed somewhere. They talked so much about the inspirational story that he was and coming back from that. I hope he's able to find some success somewhere else. But really, I think Mbakwe is the only one that would have figured to be a big part of the Alabama program going forward.
And the one that makes me the saddest so far, Keon Keeley has entered the portal.
Yeah, that's one that I kind of saw. So I spoke to him on Tuesday at the Rose Bowl Media Day.
Why didn't you tell him to stay?
I asked him directly, have you thought about next year? And you can tell when an athlete is considering entering the portal when they use all the language and the coded and jump around the question. He's like, yeah, my focus is just fully on winning this game against a good Indiana team. Kept it very professional in that regard. And look,
I appreciate him doing that instead of lying about things.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Whereas, he did talk so much about how much the Oklahoma performance meant to him and how special it was to really, put together a great performance, and how much, he appreciated the development and everything that he'd gotten at Alabama. He's another guy where he's going to come out and play phenomenal football next year. Or at least I really think he will. Excuse me. He is an insanely talented athlete. He paid all his dues, right? You took all this time to turn yourself into a product that's able to play high-level football. And now you're leaving? Like, that's the part that,
yeah,
I don't get it. I don't. You had plenty. You had 2 really reasonable chances to leave the University of Alabama, right? Times where it would have made complete Saban's gone, okay, I'll leave. And the last year, I'm a little behind on my development. I'm not really playing as much. Leave. This year, yeah, you still didn't play a whole ton, right? But you've spent all your time at the bench. Like, it's hard to see a world where he is not a starter for Alabama football next year on this team. So why is now the time that you're transferring out of the program. And yeah, that's, I'd say, the worst of the, like, if there's one transfer portal move to feel bad about as an Alabama football fan, it is this one.
Yeah, because I think Keon Keeley is one of those guys to where, you know how they talk about defensive lines and defensive coordinators and defenses. They don't have to blitz to send pressure, and I think he's one of those type of guys where if he's on the field, you don't have to blitz as much because I think he was a block defeater. I think it did take him a long time. Like, he comes here under the Saban system. He's playing basically stand-up outside linebacker. Womack comes, and he's like, well, you're not a wolf. You're more of a bandit for us. Mm-hmm. So you got to go hand in the dirt, 2 hands in the dirt, really learn how to play against the run, learn how to play on the end of the line of scrimmage. And I think he got there by the end of it. It took him a long time to get there. But you saw him replacing LT Overton in these a couple of postseason games, and I thought that he was extremely disruptive at Oklahoma. I thought he was. I think his game has really, really grown, and now you projected forward to 2026, and it was, well, LT's gone. It's all Keon Keeley. It's Keon Keeley and Jordan Renaud, and what's Kelby Collins going to do? Well, we still don't know, but you look at those guys. It's like, well, you 3 guys can all split time, and you can all be, trios co-starter at Bandit. And I wonder to myself if he just said, I don't want to be trios co-starter with anybody. I want to be my own guy. I wanted to, he was committed to Notre Dame for a long time before he flipped to his Alabama commit. I think he will be a highly coveted player in the transfer portal. And I think that's going to be a significant loss for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, and it's really the only loss on the defense that feels really significant to me.
Right, because you have him and Cam Calhoun. What other defenders am I missing? That's it, right?
Is there anyone else?
Let me scroll back through the list. Rock Montgomery and Cam Howard was earlier. Who cares? Sorry, Sarah, but who cares? Noah Carter. Okay.
Yeah.
Noah Carter. Scroll my list. That was it. Yeah. So it's Noah Carter, it's Keon Keeley, it's Cam Coleman, and Cam Howard. Noah Carter, good player, talented. But was he was passed by Justin Hill.
Yes. Yeah, and then, Cam Calhoun, there was a lot of good stuff said about him over the summer in the offseason. Yeah. And then he wasn't all that significant of a player for this football team, and
barely got on the field.
You can say maybe he would have taken steps this offseason, but you got a lot returning.
But you got that boy Red Morgan.
Yeah. I think Red Morgan is going to be, not that he wasn't a good football player. I think he'll be the most improved player on this.
Red Morgan, Xavier Mincy, and Jaira Edwards all going to be right there in that spot. And Jaira Edwards, oh my Lord, he looks like a killer.
He is going to be an awesome football player. There's a lot to be excited about. I'm not.
Yeah, he looks like a real killer.
Calhoun leaving. Yeah, Keeley kind of hurts, but overall, feel a lot better about this defense than this offense, right? Just across the board,
Yeah, I mean, you had a lot of the transfers come in on the offensive side, and I don't think that's to be a surprise. I mean, the consternation on the offense was so high all year long. Oh, when are they going to figure out the run game? When are they going to figure out any sort of continuity, any sort of consistency? And they never really did. They never really did. So that's kind of everybody who transferred out. You want to talk about Richard Young at all? No, we don't care.
There's nothing there.
Anybody else that we missed that you want to talk about?
MJ Chirgwin going to be missed.
No, MJ's money is going to be missed in this football program.
Hey, and in 20 years, people will, maybe look back and here's Keelan Russell's first touchdown pass in a Crimson Tide jersey.
Who is that? Who is he throwing to? MJ Chirgwin's always going to have that.
MJ Chirgwin is probably going to get into a great grad school program by transferring into a school, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's clearly the decision there.
Absolutely.
And Peter Notaro.
Oh, Peter! We got a Notaro run all the way down the field.
Yeah. But that's just about it. There's not really. Mbakwe, don't feel great about, but knew it was going to happen. Keeley kind of hurts. One other interesting one, and somewhat surprised that as of right now, Drake Patrick Jr. is
Man, he's crimson through and through.
Yeah, he is probably going to come back from this and be a part of the team again next year.
Yeah, he's eating the punishment like a man.
Yeah, got to respect that.
I mean, yes, I think that everybody, I think a lot of people, and maybe this is going to bite me in the butt, but I think a lot of people foolishly thought, oh, he's transferring out. He's going to be mad. He's sitting down. I bet you his father told him, this is what's best for you. Got involved, I got in trouble with Coach Saban. He had punishments. Don't, Coach DeBoer, this is his punishment for you. Learn from this. I don't see Drake Kirkpatrick utilizing the transfer portal.
Yeah, and look, in the grand scheme of things, he made a mistake.
Yeah, sure.
It's not career it's not the worst thing that any human or college football player's done, right? It's something that you can absolutely come back from and use as a learning experience. And I think everybody would love to see him back on the field next season.
100%. I think that this is Coach DeBoer's first real somebody's in trouble with the law moment, and we're seeing him basically set the standard for don't get in trouble with the law, guys. You're going to be sitting out for a long time.
Yes.
And for Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., I think this is just fine. Just eat your punishment over the course of this year, and we'll see you in 2026, my man.
And should be, he took steps from last year to this season, should take even further steps and probably be consistently on the field, I'd say.
All right, so let's take a pause. We're going to tell you about Purple Turtle Roofing. Then we're going to tell you about who is being contacted in the transfer portal. A lot of offensive linemen have expressed Alabama interest already. Would you say Blair Reichert? Blake Reichert?
Brock Reichert.
Brock Reichert.
That's a great lineman name.
That's right. So we'll tell you who else is being contacted by Alabama in the transfer portal. Several guys already on campus. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. Call Purple Turtle Roofing today at 877-787-6635 for all of your roofing needs. You'll come out and get a free roof inspection. Call them 877-787-6635. They'll come give you a free roof inspection. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. That's 877-PT-ROOF-5. 877-787-6635. Purple Turtle Roofing. Roofing with heart, built to last. All right, Theo, several guys already expressing that Alabama is interested. Let's start with somebody who's on campus today, Caden Strayhorn. Caden Strayhorn, you can type that into your machine right there, Theo. That's Kaden Strayhorn from the University of Michigan. Interior offensive lineman, former four-star from IMG, played center, number one center in the class of 2025. So just one season with the Michigan Wolverines, is in the transfer portal, and it was teammates with Michael Carroll. You've got this young man who has played. How much did you actually play for Michigan? You played, looks like just the one game this year.
So he's
2 games.
Started in the Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, 2 games. Central Michigan and against Texas in the Citrus Bowl. Bio, attended IMG, helped IMG, yada, yada, yada. Part of a team, who cares? 2-year starter, 3-year experience at IMG. Started at right tackle as a senior. The Ascenders, part of the offense, as a sophomore, saw action at center for IMG. Okay, so this young man, did you get enough playing time to have any clips on YouTube? Let's see. You are... We're going to have to watch your high school to figure out who you are. That's great. That's so great. Which is A-okay. Caden Strayhorn, HUDL. Yeah, we'll find you on Huddle, and we'll see what you kind of are. St. Francis. Got to watch a little ad to find out who this guy is. Center, guard, and tackle out of IMG Academy. Teammates with Michael Carroll. You've got him as this loading up. Here's another offensive lineman to look for. Jimothy Jimothy Lewis Jr., offensive lineman from Mississippi State. He was a redshirt freshman. He played in 4 games in 2024. No starts. Let's see. Did you start this year, young man? Yeah, some of these are not good. Oh, participation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games this year for Mississippi State. So 2 guys right here, Jimothy Lewis Jr. and Caden Strayhorn, are all in line to visit the Crimson Tide.
And it looks like
Yeah, go ahead.
Lewis Jr. was recruited and pursued by Alabama. Looks like from Mississippi. So Alabama, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss were his 3 schools. So it looks like this is a guy that maybe has some familiarity at least with the
Roll
program.
Tide. All right, I'm looking at Strayhorn right now. Big old dude. Big dude at IMG, and he's playing guard in this clip. Well, this is kind of a tackle over. Pulling, athletic, bowls this guy over. Now he's playing tackle. He's got an okay pass set, but that was just a couple moments right there for Caden Strayhorn. I think that really, I don't care who they're bringing in as long as they're offensive linemen and defensive linemen. You've got Caden Strayhorn, you've got Jimothy Lewis Jr., and you've got, who else is it? That's a defensive lineman. Yeah, I've got a defensive lineman, I got a linebacker, and I've got a running back. Hollywood Smothers. Have you looked at him? Running back from NC State. 1,100 yards, 7 total tackles, 5.9 yards per carry.
I did see that I think it was Florida State that he canceled a visit with, and I saw that he canceled a visit somewhere before going to Alabama. 2 Hollywoods on one team.
All ACC honors. Yeah, that'll be the battle. Who's the real Hollywood? Ryan Hollywood Williams or Hollywood Smothers?
I will say, as far as overall, looking at this program and the things that are needed, I don't think running back is somewhere that a ton of money needs to be spent. Looking at, I think Daniel Hill has been a nice piece, and I think you got to expect AK Deer to take some steps. Not that money shouldn't be spent, not that, obviously another running back is needed, at least one in this group. But if, I don't think your big splash needs to be at the running back position, but I would not complain about the addition of a guy like this.
Yeah, fast, little water bug type player for Hollywood Smothers. You got people in these YouTube comments commenting Jahmyr Gibbs, and I don't quite see that, but I do think that you've got a pretty good running back in Hollywood Smothers, and really that's just a great name. So I'd love to be saying it for the next. Dylan Hollywood Smothers was at Oklahoma, then was at NC State. Oklahoma as a true freshman, the last 2 years at NC State, so he will be redshirt junior. Have 2 years of eligibility left. For his career, 260 carries in those 3 years. 260 carries, 1552 on the ground, averaging 6 yards per carry, 12 rushing touchdowns, 57 receptions, 453, and 3 touchdowns in the air. This past year, it was the 7 touchdowns, as we said, line of from scrimmage, 197 touches, 1128. 197 touches, 1128. That's combined rushing and receiving for 7 touchdowns. Pretty good for Dylan Hollywood Smothers. I'm with you in the fact that I don't think they should be spending big money on running back, but if you can find somebody, because you're going to be looking at EJ Crowell, you're going to be looking at Daniel Hill, you're going to be looking at AK Deer. Right now, Kevin Riley's still in the room. Dre Washington and Jam Miller have moved on with Richard Young. Dre and Jam Miller out of eligibility. Richard Young transfer portal. So you're waiting on a decision from Kevin Riley. And if Kevin stays, great. I mean, great, really, because I think he is a pretty good little running back. Is he a great running back? I'm not sure, but I think he's pretty good. You add Hollywood Smothers to this group. You also got a freshman from Texas who's escaping my name or my memory coming in. He's a 3-star from Texas.
Oh yeah,
So you got enough bodies, but you're looking at just guys who are truly ready to play. You will have a redshirt. I think an experienced player like Smothers, if you can get him at the right price, great.
Trayshawn Brown, running
Trayshawn
back coming in
Brown.
from Huntsville, Texas, at lower ranked guy. Probably won't really contribute much this year, but
Trayshawn Brown. There we
another
go.
body in the room.
All right, I'm going to turn to Devin Tompkins, defensive lineman from Southern California, is also in the portal and reportedly being contacted by Alabama. This guy, agile, quick guy. Nice little move right here in their game against Michigan. As I'm watching this little tape, he's playing basically head up on the guard, so right there, defensive tackle. This is a James Smith compliment, really. This is an Edric Hill, we're pushing you kind of a guy. He's agile. He's a nice little athlete. He's making a lot of his moves laterally than getting into the hole. Not seeing a whole lot of winning just straight up one-on-one. So that's a little concerning. But stepping into different holes and penetrating, step to the left, penetrate, then make a tackle for a loss. So not bad tape right here. Devin Tompkins from Southern California is kind of your primary defensive line target so far. Let's look at your recruiting rankings. Devin Tompkins, what did you do? Where are you actually from? You're from USC, from Stockton, California. Former 3-star recruit, is that right? Yeah, 3-star recruit. Class of 2022, 6'6", 220 out of high school. Wow. 6'6", 6'5", 290 is what he's actually listed on for the USC site. And your stats this year, Mr. Devin, were they good? Your stats this year were you played in 12 games, 18 total tackles, 31 total tackles, 18 solo tackles, 6.5 tackles for a loss, and 3 sacks as an interior defensive lineman. Batted down 2 passes and forced 1 fumble. So not bad as a redshirt junior. So he will have 1 more season remaining as well. So we'll see if Alabama can't get Mr. Devin Tompkins. And then the last guy that's on my list right here is Caleb Woodson, from Virginia Tech linebacker, 72 tackles, 7.5 for a loss, two sacks this season for Caleb Woodson. And obviously, we know Virginia Tech was horrific this year. They were terrible. They fired their coach before October. But this is inside linebacker type. And look, you're going to be losing a lot of inside linebackers. You're losing Deontay Lawson, Nikai Hill-Green, and Justin Jefferson. I do really, really like the young inside linebackers on the team, the QB Reeses, the Caden Jones, the Luke Metz, Duke Johnson, and Abdul Sanders of the world. But I do think that you would like to bring in an experienced guy, somebody who's played high-level football, and Caleb Woodson is that. He can kind of stabilize that room, give you a veteran in that room, not trying to hold any of those young guys down, but give them a veteran to lean on. I mean, look, QB Reese and Caden Jones are your 2 most experienced inside linebackers, and I like a lot of their potential. I do, but neither of those guys have any experience, any real experience. They both played in games, but any experience in real competitive moments. So if you can get an inside backer, I do think that's an area of need, an experienced inside backer. I do think that's an area of need, and maybe you can get someone in the portal at a discount right there because it's not a premium position.
I agree. I mean, inside linebacker is an absolute necessity right now. Losing your top 3 players. I like QB Reese a lot.
Yeah.
I've talked about this numerous times on this show. I think he will be a player who can contribute in a way next year. But I think you should bring in 2 inside linebackers, right? I think maybe you say, okay, that third guy who gets on the field a good bit, kind of maybe at the rate that Nikai Hill-Green played this year, you can let that go to QB Reese or Caden Jones. I don't think Luke Metz will quite be ready.
Oh, I love him. I love Luke.
Year. I spoke with Luke.
I saw you. Thank you for doing that.
I'm going to try to work up a feature on him this offseason maybe.
Thank you for doing that.
But I like him. I don't know if he'll quite be ready next year. But hey, open competition between those three.
I mean,
right?
all five right there, basically to all five vying for one spot. It seems like.
Yeah, and there's that's good.
Vying for two spots because you got the rotator. They're still gonna rotate the third role basically.
Yeah, I mean you're losing everything at that inside linebacker position, right? And for as much as that room faced some criticism this year, and there was a lot of talk, especially early in the season. I thought, Deontay and Jefferson are guys that will be missed in this program. And the Kyle Green really came along nicely down the stretch of the season. So it's going to be a big, big change there. I'd like to hope that, either Reese or Caden will be a little ahead of schedule in their development and be able to play real, impactful snaps. But definitely need additions there.
Got a comment. Keith Connell, 8460. I appreciate your comment. Just found the show. I'll continue to check it out, guys. Thanks. No, thank you, Keith, for checking out the show and being a part of it. You can find it on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify. If you are not on the YouTube channel, BamaCentral's YouTube channel, or my own at Joe Gaither 6, we appreciate you so much. You guys can call and leave a voicemail if you want to be a part of the show, 205-462-7340, extension 800. We will have you covered for everybody that's coming into Tuscaloosa for visits, for who are looking at the Crimson Tide as far as the transfer portal goes. You can read all of that at BamaCentral.com, Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. Theo, let's wrap the program up by talking about Alabama basketball as the Crimson Tide took the Kentucky Wildcats. Oh, yeah, please.
I got one final question on the portal.
Sure, please.
Do you bring in a kicker? Do you put resources into bringing in a higher-ranked kicker? Or do you say, hey, Connor Talty, you improved down the stretch of the year. You haven't missed a kick in a couple weeks. Like, do you come in to 2026 planning on Connor Talty being the starting kicker?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I think that he did enough down the stretch, overcame. Like, I think you've pushed through the mental barrier of, oh, you're terrible, we hate you. And now that he's on the other side of it, I mean, basically since being booed, he didn't miss another kick.
Yeah, that is true. And Katie's interview with him was fun, getting that perspective. I thought that was one of the best things we'd gotten. I mean,
to me, I wouldn't waste resources. I would believe in who you've got already. Whatever you're paying him, fine, it's fine. But if he can capture that little mental toughness, just thought this into 2026. Well, you've already ridden through the hard part with him.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, since Eastern Illinois, 5 for 5 on field goals, 2 of them over 40, 48 of 48 on PATs this year. Number 2 kicker in his class in 2023. Yeah,
I think sometimes guys just need a little adversity to go through.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
So I would definitely just ride with Connor Talty instead of shopping for a kicker in the portal. All right, Saturday started SEC basketball play. Alabama beating Kentucky 89-74. And look, I have no other place to start but Lurch. We love you, Noah Williamson. Thank you so much for finally showing us what you've got. I was sitting there just laughing at the entirety every time he made a play, every time Williamson and look, we say you did what you were supposed to do. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block for Noah Williamson. And if you've listened to this program any length of time, anytime we've talked about basketball, you've heard me frustrated at his acquisition. What's he really bringing to the program? Did Nate just misevaluate? What's really going on right here? Does he just need more time? What's the deal with Noah Williamson? We need a backup center because behind Aiden Sherrill is a big old hole. Look, you're just doing Taylor Boboan, Keaton Bristow, can Collins Onyedika get healthy and get back available? I don't know. But basically, you had a huge hole right there at backups, a massive hole right there. And you've got nothing from Noah the entire year. But on Saturday, he ends up starting with the offensive rebound in the first half where he gets it kind of over another Kentucky player, ball works around, and Houston Millett bangs a three-point shot. I mean, the three-point shooting the last two games has been incredible for Alabama, 15 of 38 in this game, so right at 40%. They ended up making 22 in the last game against Yale, so that's the new season high, but really, really been shooting the lights out. But for Noah to get the offensive rebound, the place went crazy, Theo. Like, you were at about a 80% capacity, maybe 75% capacity. A lot of students not in the building, but obviously still winter break, and that stinks. I wish you would have come back earlier, but not in the building. The student section had a pretty weak showing, but the careers, the olds, the folks who have season tickets, they all showed up for the Kentucky game and were rah-rahing and were yelling. And every time Noah Williamson did anything, the place just, oh, thank you. Oh, it was incredible. Just awesome to see. And then, of course, we're starting with Noah Williamson, but you can't have this conversation without talking about Aiden Holloway. 26 points, 6 of 8 from behind the three-point line, was just a flamethrower. He and Houston Millett were just incredible from behind the arc. Houston 4 of 6. I thought that Nate Oates put Mark Pope in a corner and said, let me show you how to coach some basketball. And it was one-way traffic the whole day.
It was an awesome game to watch. I caught about the first 30 minutes of it before my flight took off to get back here on Saturday. I need to apologize to Noah Williamson, too. Direct quote from my article after the Kennesaw State 2 weeks ago. Noah Williamson has rendered himself effectively unplayable against high-level competition. He made me eat my words on Saturday, and that's a guy I had really high hopes for coming in. You know, I love the idea of these mid-major players being able to come in and contribute. It was awesome in the post-game, him talking about Bucknell losing to Kentucky a year ago, early season game. And he was like, yeah, I wanted to beat him. And, hey, you played a really big role in that happening, Noah Williamson. So that was awesome. I really hope this is the start of something big, because you talked about it, Joe. I mean, the role that he could fill for this team. I think that as long as Alabama does not have a reliable backup center, another big option, this team has a clear ceiling on how far it can go.
Definitely.
It is hard to see this team winning a Sweet 16 game, as even with how fun these guards are.
The guards are insane.
Being able to shoot any team, out of the gym. And yeah, obviously, when Alabama's built like this, you could always have a game like, against BYU in the Sweet 16 last year where everything falls and no one's going to beat you. But the far more likely case is that Elite Eight game against Duke, right? Where you're outmatched. Another consistent rebounder, that changes things in a big way for this program. So Noah Williamson can keep this up. Whole new level can be reached by this team. And man, this is a fun team. This is a fun team. Nate Oates said it could be the best shooting team of his career. Hard to argue with that so far. I mean, just the ability of these guards, and the fact that you're able to go out and win a game against a great team, and you're not even talking about LeBaron Philon after the game. I think that Philon is very likely going to have a top. I think he's well on his way to having a top 3 season in Alabama basketball history.
Ooh.
I just think that his ability to win the team games while allowing others to, kind of steal the show and be the big scorers. And even Philon, you look at like the game against Purdue that Alabama lost, right? Philon was a non-factor in the scoring sheet until down the stretch of that one, right? He's able to turn it on when it matters. I know he missed, a potentially game-winning free throw in that game, but we don't talk about that. Like, he's a guy who's still growing. He's a guy who has stuff to improve at, but he is such a special leader point guard of this basketball team. I am really, really excited for this team. A lot more so. I thought they were going to struggle against Kentucky, honestly. I thought there were going to be some flaws exposed. I know the Wildcats have been slightly underwhelming this year, now sitting at 9-5, but I was proved wrong in a big way by this team and their performance. And man, this game against Vanderbilt,
Huge.
is going to be crazy. Why couldn't it be on a Saturday? Because I would drive up to Nashville without a doubt if it was, it wasn't on a weekday. But that game is going to be awesome. Vanderbilt has been one of the most fun stories this year. They not the best non-conference schedule, but when you're undefeated at this stage of the season, that means something.
Yeah, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, Alabama's heading up to Vanderbilt to take on what is the top-ranked team analytically in the SEC. Yes. They are 14-0. They're 6th in KenPom in offensive rating, 14th in defensive rating. They're 6th overall in the KenPom ratings. Alabama 13th overall in Lord Kenneth Pomeroy's rating. Alabama with the number 2 overall offense and the number 70 overall defense. So not so hot defensively, but really just still flamethrowing from beyond the arc. Vanderbilt beating South Carolina 83-71 on the road on Saturday. So really taking care of business. South Carolina not good. 90th.
They could go winless in SEC play.
Really. So it will be a huge game on Wednesday. Going back to your LeBaron Philon, LeBaron LeBaron 17 points on Saturday, 0 of 6 from beyond the 3-point line. Ended up with 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. So really getting it done in other areas. Scoring okay. I mean, getting to the rim really effectively. I mean, he put Otega Oweh on his rear end. Did you get to see that second half highlight?
That was awesome.
He had Otega Oweh just rocking back and forth and then stumbling back on his rear end, getting to the hoop and hitting a nice little floater. So I think the basketball team, I mean, look, it's just got to stay healthy. You have Amari Allen who dinged up an ankle in the middle of the game but came back on Saturday and said, okay, I think I'll be all right for the Vanderbilt game, but it's going to be sore. You missed Aiden Sherrill with a knee injury in the second half against Kentucky. He injured his knee. You didn't play Taylor Bowen. I think Coach said that he was ready to play, break glass in case of emergency type situation. So you didn't play Bowen. If you could just get this whole team dadgummit healthy, then and look, keep pouring life in Noah Williamson. Yes. It just seemed like. It seemed like I'm sorry for this analogy, but it seemed like a flower growing through concrete, growing through a flower bed. Every time he did something, the whole place stood and just roared at, thank you, sir. We know you can do it. It was awesome to see. Because usually, I mean, look, fan bases are pretty harsh on players, and you have the Connor Talty boo situation, right? It was not that. It has not been that with Noah. It has been this kind of, oh, we wish you would have got that rebound. Oh, we thought you could have got that rebound. Oh, you took a shot and you missed it. But like every single time that he played on Saturday and made a play, it was, we know you can, yes. Yeah, and to see him, you commented on it in the post game. He had this bashful smile on his face the entire time, like, oh, could I really be a contributor on this team? And so it's like, can you just keep feeding life into him? Can you keep giving him confidence, giving him 3 or 4 minutes here, 3 or 4 minutes there? And the way that he ran down the floor on defense was different on Saturday than it has been the entire non-conference action. It was, oh, I am running my rear end off down the floor. And like, I know I'm lumbering and I'm a little slower, but I'm going to take my little slower to the highest pace I can. And he was just barreling down the floor. And I was like, okay, man, this is what it takes. Just hustle. You can. Did you hear Coach Oates after? Nick Kelly and me, a lot of people were asking Coach Oates about Noah Williamson. And he said Noah in the pregame was dunking, and he's like, he usually isn't a big dunker in the pregame. And Noah, what's up with this? What's going on with you? You feeling good? He goes, SEC, coach. I'm an SEC athlete. SEC, got to step it up for SEC play. And it's like, okay, thank you. Like, whatever it takes, thank you. So it was really, really, really encouraging. I walked out of Coleman Coliseum on Saturday just happy, not only because you beat Kentucky great, but the story underneath of, oh, wow, you're finally getting something out of this player that was borderline worthless for a long time. And now he's showing value, and the fan base was appreciating that value, and the teammates were all dapping him up. You saw Amari Allen toss him the hard hat. Despite Amari Allen winning the hard hat, he turns and flips it over to Noah, and everybody rahs on for Noah. I just thought, wow, what a story this could end up being if he just 1% better every day, 1% better every day. What could it end up being by the time March Madness happens?
Yeah, man, Patriot League represent. I love to see it. This is a guy that I was really excited for in the offseason that I thought was going to be a big addition. Man, it would be one of the coolest things about this team if he could really turn into regular performances. But I mean, we'll see, right? It's too early to come out and say that this is what we'll expect from him regularly, but hey, that Kentucky team is good. They're big. They're physical. And no, Williamson did not look out of place against them at all.
All right, so let's wrap it up, Theo. Anything else you got from over the weekend or going into the week? Anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here in the Derek Daniel State Farm Studios?
No, it's just about everything. I do need to make one quick remark in case that anyone in the New York Giants organization is watching.
They are.
Joe Schoen. The fact that he is being brought back as general manager of the New York Football Giants is disrespectful.
You want to go 3 minutes on the Giants Giants season wrap up?
Yes. It is a slap in the face to everybody who has suffered through the past decade of Giants football. It is a slap in the face to Wellington Mara, to the Giants organization of the past, to the Giant way that was developed, that became one of the great, that helped us become one of the great franchises in NFL history, to the Bill Parcells era, to just everything that was developed over decades, 4 straight decades with a Super Bowl. And now we've pissed away the past 15 years behind horrible ownership, behind horrible front office decisions, between horrible organizational management. I wish Mr. Mara all the best in his recovery from cancer. And, we saw him get the game ball yesterday after the Giants beat the Cowboys. And it's inspirational. It's something that a franchise should rally around. But if you're going to sit around and say that we're not going to fire a GM because the owner is physically unfit, I'm sorry. This is a $10 billion organization. You can pass it off to someone for now. Let someone else run this team for the time being. Get a new GM. We have the second worst record in football over the past 5 years. And we've made a playoffs in that time. Do you realize how bad you have to be in the other 4 years? I watched a 3-game winning streak in 2023 behind, the Tommy DeVito, Italian hero, like that ruined your chances of getting a top 3 pick. I watched us go out and win a meaningless game against a bad Colts team that was tanking last year, ruin the odds of getting the number 1 pick. And I watched this team go out and win 2 games this week, the past 2 weeks, when if you'd lost either one of them, we would be picking number 1 overall. You're talking about, we need to get the culture win. There is no culture. Your culture is losing. Maybe it'd be different if you actually got yourself a good pick, if you actually put yourself in a position to get a good player. You saw the Cowboys pull all their starters at halftime because they wanted to lose. The Raiders basically did the same thing. This Giants organization is a joke. I have no hope for the future. I think Jackson Dart is a very talented football player. He's going to come out, throw for 12 touchdowns, 14 picks, get 2 concussions. His development will be ruined. I've seen this happen time and time again. All these cool young players are going to underperform. We'll have organizational problems. We'll have culture problems. Joe Schoen will get fired at the end of the year. The next coach will probably only get 1 season. We're in a clean house. It is a joke. Nothing is synced up. Nothing makes sense. I'm done with Giants football.
The clock's kind of ticking for you guys because every decade is one Super Bowl every decade. Now we're 5 years into this decade, right?
Yeah.
And you've got, 5 and 5. 5 more. Will the Giants be Super Bowl champions in the next 5 years to maintain this, honestly, amazing record?
I would be stunned. I would be nothing short of shocked.
Because I don't think anybody can say anything to the Giants fans as long as they keep winning. Hey, one Super Bowl every decade.
Super Bowl a decade. That's
nice. Insane. That's an insane rate.
It is. And it won't happen this decade. It will not. This organization is broken, quite frankly. And I don't see whatever coach is brought in fixing it. I don't see anything, really.
All they need to do is draft Ty Simpson.
I would go over real well in New York. Look, yeah, it's sickening being a Giants fan right now.
They just got to draft Caden Proctor.
Feel disrespected.
Little LT Overton going to help you out.
Hey, I'd love a mid-round LT Overton pick. I'll tell you. I'd love a mid-round Josh Cuevas selection. Actually,
ooh, yeah.
I think that we could use a tight end like that. That'd be fun to watch.
Y'all need a center. Parker Brailsford just declared. Damani could declare it as well.
I don't know about that one on Damani, but hey. I'm going to get real excited over the next couple months over every free agency draft decision, but just know I mean none of it. I have no hope over this team, and nothing I say will contradict it. When I go and pick the Giants to go 10-7 next year, I'll really know deep down that we're going 3-14 because that's what this organization is. That's all I've got on the Giants. Sorry to ramble.
That's all right. You needed to get the end of the season wrap up out of the way right there. We appreciate everybody. Look, it was great to be back in the Derek Daniels State Farm Studios. It's been a while, though. We had a great holiday season. We hope you and yours had a great holiday season as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll have Brax Garrison. We'll have Mason Woods talking transfer portal. We'll update you some more on. Hopefully, nobody else goes in the portal. I think that's probably a long shot. And then hopefully Alabama will start getting some names, some additions announced very, very soon. So we'll cover all of that. We'll get you ready for Alabama's game against Vanderbilt on Wednesday. We'll have a press conference with Coach Oates tomorrow to kind of get that going. We'll have a big week right here on BamaCentral. We appreciate everybody who watched us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, on my own YouTube channel. Thank you, Hunter RTR, Keith Collins, and 8460. Keith Collins 8460. You guys can comment on any channel that you like. We appreciate everybody who subscribed, rated, reviewed the show. Calling Derek Daniel for all your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is here, and we will be here tomorrow morning on the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com.